Our story begins with a man who is getting beaten up while training, and he fears that he will not survive. A group of adventurers are glad to see that he has improved over the past couple of years, and they determine that the upcoming E rank test won't be a problem for him. A while later, entrance for the E rank promotion test is registered. Our protagonist Rick is one of them, and the receptionist named Alicia is happy to see him again. It's been 2 years since they last saw each other, and it was when Rick used to be a guild clerk. Alicia was surprised to hear that Rick became an adventurer, and Rick can't blame her because starting as an adventurer at age 30 is pretty unimaginable. Normally people start as F-rank apprentices when they are teenagers and become A-ranked just 2 years after that. Alicia wonders where Rick has been, so Rick explains that he was up in the mountains, training with some senior adventurers. Then some drunk guy tries to make an advance towards Alicia, but Rick calms him down. Everyone's attention turns to them when the guy passes out, so Rick reminds everyone to drink responsibly. Alicia gives him his exam ticket and wishes Rick luck on the E-rank exam. Rick is horrified when his ticket has a really unlucky number of 4242. Outside, Rick tells some woman named Rionette that he finished registering, and Rionette reminds him where his eyes are. Back inside, everyone is shocked to see an imprint of Rick's hand on the drunk guy's armor because it is made of steel. What's even more shocking is that the drunk guy is an infamous former A-rank adventurer. His name is Domold the Fiendish Knight, and Domold is a wanted criminal. Then Alicia is shocked when she wonders if Rick has become strong enough to easily leave an imprint in steel armor. A while later, Rick's height is measured, and the examiners are shocked to see that Rick is 32 years old. After that, participants have their magical energy tested by putting their hands on a crystal ball. One guy gets D-, and one girl gets a C+. Rick's turn is next, but the light Rick generates from the crystal is very low, so Rick is given an F-. The others have never seen a score so low, so they hope they never end up like Rick. Rick leaves, but the examiner is shocked when the crystal ball breaks. In the next exam, participants have to attack something to measure the force they can generate. The device can absorb insanely powerful attacks, so participants are told not to hold back. This device is a slime bag, and in the past, someone taught Rick about it too. Rick was told that the human body is the foundation of a good fighter, regardless of what weapons or magic they have. Rick was instructed to destroy the golden slime bag with his bare hands, because once Rick could do that, he would have a body that he could trust. However, this golden slime bag is known for being as strong as dragon's teeth. Rick was sure that he wouldn't be able to destroy it with his bare hands, but Rick was told that doing so is a simple task for an adventurer. Rick's instructor revealed that he could destroy 200 at once and demonstrated a bit of his power. Rick had to work his way up by hitting the bag with 50,000 punches every single day. Back to the present, one guy impresses everyone when he attacks a bag using strengthening magic. Some little guy is up next, and he declares that the time to show off his strength has finally come. This kid is the second son of the Duke, and rumors say that even though he is just 11 years old, he has magic equivalent to a C rank. Then this child prodigy shocks everyone when he prepares his attack. His setup is truly a flashy display, but everyone is shocked when the attack turns out to be a tiny fireball. Everyone is still impressed by the damage it does, and they call him a genius. Rick is amazed as well, because the kid used level 3 nature-composed blaze magic. Another look back at Rick's training some little girl, using an insanely powerful fire attack on him. Both attacks were blaze attacks, but they looked really different, so Rick wonders if the kid compressed his for indoor use. Soon it was Rick's turn, but the examiner didn't expect much from him. If magic isn't trained at a young age, then the chances for growth later in life are impossible. On top of that, Rick's results from the magic test were pitiful, so the examiner recommends that Rick just give up now. Rick actually agrees with everything the examiner says, but Rick can't help but think back to his training. Rick was exhausted from punching the bag one day, but Rick refused to give up. Rick acknowledges that he started his journey really late, but Rick believes that his age shouldn't matter. Because of this, Rick strikes the bag and shocks everyone when Rick absolutely destroys it with a single punch. Rick doesn't even know his own strength though, as Rick wonders if the bag was just defective. Everyone watches in terror as they wonder who Rick is. The kid is furious at Rick for stealing his attention, but the kid plans to show off during the defensive ability test. A moment later, we see that everyone is shocked again when Rick defends against level 4 nature-composed magic, something the kid couldn't even do. The examiner is surprised to hear that Rick only used level 1 magic to block the attack, so examiner decides to go one level up for the next one. The examiner will use level 5 attack magic, so the examiner suggests that Rick should use something higher than level 1 defense magic. Then Rick shocks everyone yet again, when Rick reveals that he can only use level 1 magic of offense and defense. Rick assures the examiner that he will be okay. So the examiner gets offended, as he believes that Rick is underestimating him. The examiner decides not to hold back, and starts his incantation. Examiner unleashes the level 5 attack, shocking everyone with its immense power, and even some might worry about it from really far away. His name is Sylvester, and Sylvester rushes to the arena because he couldn't believe such a powerful attack would be used during an exam. Then Sylvester is informed about Rick, and how Rick was able to block a level 5 attack with just level 1 defense magic. Sylvester assumes it must be some kind of joke, but he is told that it isn't. It's just an impressive 32-year-old F-rank adventure. Rick's report reveals that he was a guild receptionist for 14 years. Sylvester doesn't seem to know where receptionist is, and Rick's power makes him wonder if it is a title given to someone who has defeated a dragon. After the written exam, Rick expresses how confident he is that he aced it. Just then the kid named Freed angrily approaches Rick. Rick barely remembers Freed, so Rick assumes that he is lost and offers to help him to find his parents. Freed is furious and says that Rick took all the attention away from him. Just then Freed's older sister Angelica arrives and is upset that Rick made her brother cry. Freed says that the 40-year-old man ruined everything, but Rick angrily corrects him by saying that he is only in his 30s. Angelica only believes her brother and challenges the 40-year-old man to a duel. Rick points out that she will get her glove dirty, but Rionette explains that picking up the glove means Rick has accepted the duel. A moment later the two arrive in the arena, and Angelica declares that she must punish the old man. Duels in the kingdom allow each participant to propose one condition for the duel. Angelica proposes that the loser must act as the victor's servant until the end of their life, and her brother cheers her on. Angelica is a second-class knight, and Rick is shocked to hear that this means she is on the same level as a B-rank adventurer. B-rank adventurers are powerful enough to defeat monsters on their own, but Rionette still tells Rick to take it easy on her. Rick thinks Rionette has it all wrong and points out that he is just an F-rank adventurer who just registered a couple of days ago. Rick fears that he won't make it out of the duel alive, so Rionette tells him to just remember his training from the past 2 years. Rick begins to be inspired by the training montage that plays in his head, but Rick remembers how terrible it is, and it just makes him puke. Rionette tells him to be more confident, and reminds him of the group that trained him. The group called Orichalcon Fist prides itself on being the strongest in the continent, and they consider Rick to be one of its members. Rick thanks Rionette for restoring his confidence, and steps up to Angelica. Angelica knows that Rick is an F rank, so Angelica promises to refrain from ending his life. Angelica prepares for the fight, and Rick can tell that she is a swordswoman, who strengthens her body and weapons. Angelica wonders if Rick will be able to keep up with her speed, and Rick is shocked when she flies right by him. Angelica explains that she slowed down just a bit for Rick, and Angelica wonders if Rick is not talking because of how shocked he is. The little Freed laughs at the 40-year-old, and says that people call his sister the Lightspeed because of how fast she is. Angelica declares that she will actually attack him this time, without holding back, and Angelica uses her incredibly fast attack again. Rick goes quiet again, but we see that it's actually because Rick sees how slowly Angelica moving. Angelica is even slower than when Rick walks, so Rick wonders why anyone would call her the Lightspeed. Rick easily dodges her attack, but Angelica thinks Rick just got lucky because only a handful of first-class knights are able to properly react to her speed. Angelica is sure that Rick won't be able to dodge it a second time, but Rick is once again unimpressed by how slow she is moving. Rick can't believe that Angelica is a knight, and wonders if Angelica became one through nepotism. Rick considers for a moment that he might actually be really strong, but then Rick laughs at the thought. Rick prepares to dodge the attack again, but Angelica trips and starts rolling towards him. Rick just barely manages to dodge her out-of-control attack, but Rick is oblivious. Rick couldn't read her movements at all, and assumed that it was an incredible skill of hers. This little incident makes him remember that he is just an F rank, and there is a huge gap in skill between him and a second-class knight. Angelica knows that she actually tripped, but decides to pretend like the attack was on purpose. Angelica declares that she will attack again, but move even faster this time. Angelica's next attack takes a great toll on her body, so she can only use it 3 times. Angelica uses the attack that's supposed to be way faster, but it is still pretty slow in Rick's eyes. The clueless Rick fears that Angelica might use another terrifying rolling attack again if he makes the wrong move, so Rick dodges carefully. Angelica is shocked and wonders what she should do, because she can only use the attack 2 more times. Angelica decides to use her last 2 attacks in succession, and Rick realizes that he needs to fight back. Just then Angelica trips again on her last attempt. Rick thinks it is another terrifying technique, and fears that his attack won't land in time. Dust goes everywhere, and everyone watches in shock. When the dust clears, we see that Rick's attack created a crater in the ground. Angelica is horrified, as she realizes that if she didn't trip, then Rick's terrifyingly powerful attack would have landed on her. The clueless Rick thinks that Angelica purposely dodged it, and Angelica wonders who this guy is. Rick explains that he is just an F-rank adventurer that used to be a guild receptionist 2 years ago. Rick isn't sure he can do much against a second-class knight, but he will do his best during their duel, and use it as a learning experience. Rick excitedly prepares to continue their fight, but Rick is shocked when Angelica just surrenders. Fried is shocked as well, and Angelica says that she will let him win this time. Angelica tries to get out of there as quickly as possible, but Rick reminds her about the duel conditions. Rick didn't actually propose anything, but he is fine with using hers. Angelica doesn't want to serve him for the rest of her life, so Angelica asks her legs to exceed their limits just one more time and runs away. Rick doesn't really consider it a victory, but Rionette reminds them that it's time for the results of the preliminary test. Just then Rick is shocked when Rionette reveals that the other members of the group will be arriving soon. The terrified Rick wonders why they're coming, so Rionette explains that they want to see how Rick is doing. Rick has a really bad feeling about it, but it is too late as we see that the others are on their way. So now what will happen to Rick? Subscribe to our channel to find out what will happen next. So friends, if you liked our recap video, then please like and share this video and do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.